Alright, welcome back to Cobalt Black. Today we're doing something a little different. I'm ranking my top 10 Survivor-like games that I played in 2025. I'm doing a couple of different top 10 lists, and since Survivor-likes are such an oversaturated genre, I decided it deserved its own list. Now, before we get started, I need to lay down some ground rules. First off, I have to have actually played this game, whether it be on the channel or off the channel. I can't recommend something I haven't experienced myself. Second, the game has to have sold under 1 million copies. We're talking hidden gems on this channel, not mainstream hits everyone already knows about. So no, Mega Bonk will not be featured on this list. And here's the big disclaimer. This is my list. If your favorite game is missing and you think it should be on here, let me know in the comments. I didn't start doing daily Let's Plays until August of this year, so I didn't play quite as many games before then. That means some good Survivor-likes that came out earlier in 2025 might have slipped through the cracks. However, that doesn't mean games from before August are excluded. I did play some earlier releases, they're just less common on my channel. And lastly, this list isn't too concrete in its order before the top 3, and that's because I view Survivor-likes akin to tools. There's many different tools and they're all better or worse for specific tasks. I would largely say it's hard to put one better than another. However, there are a few extraordinary games that do rise to the top regardless of purpose. Alright, let's get it. Coming in at number 10, we have Noobs Are Coming. This is a really interesting twist in the Survivor-like formula, as you play as the boss of an MMO, and you're defending yourself against waves and waves of adventurers trying to take you down. It's basically Brotato meets You Are the Bad Guy. The game launched in its full 1.0 release in September 2025 and has a very positive rating on Steam with over 700 reviews. What makes this one stand out is the sheer creativity of the attack mechanics. You're not just shooting bullets, you're summoning minions, swinging physics-based chain spike balls, kicking wrecking balls around like you're playing soccer with your minions. It's chaotic in the best way possible. The runs are quick, under 30 minutes, which is perfect for that one more run addiction. And yeah, there's local co-op if you want to drag a friend into the madness with you. The theory crafting potential here is nuts. You can push your stats to absurd levels and just watch the screen explode. It's not higher on my list mainly because it does feel very similar to Brotato mechanically, but if you enjoyed Brotato and you want more of that style with a fun twist, Noobs Are Coming is absolutely worth the $8 asking price. Plus, it's Steam Deck verified, which is always a bonus. At number 9, we've got I Am Legion Stand Survivors. This one hit 1.0 in March 2025, and yeah, the JoJo inspiration is not subtle here. You summon up to 8 stands, basically powerful spirit creatures, and they fight alongside you automatically. What I really dig about this one is the depth of the build system. You've got over 100 different stands to collect, and each one has unique skills and fighting styles. Some are melee bruisers, others are mages shooting spells all over the place. The key is finding synergies between your character and your stand. There's also a whole resource management and gear forging system. You mine resources during runs, then use them to craft equipment with random attributes. There's also talents and artifacts outside of runs that you can gain. It adds a light RPG element that keeps the progression going even when you're not in the middle of a run. This game has very positive reviews, 83% positive out of 1,665 reviews, which is solid. The pixel art style is clean, and if you're into anime aesthetics, you'll probably vibe with this one. My main gripe is that it can feel a bit grindy at times, and the meta progression isn't quite as satisfying as some of the other games on this list. But if you want a Survivor-like with RPG elements and don't mind the grind, I Am Legion is worth checking out. Number 8 is Wild Keepers Rising. This game launched in October 2025, and it's basically what if vampire survivors met Pokemon. You're a Wild Keeper, someone who can communicate with powerful spirit creatures called Guardians, and you're battling monstrous hordes while taming these creatures to fight alongside you. The art style here is gorgeous. It's all hand-drawn, and you can really see the love that went into the character designs. Each Guardian has its own personality and attacks automatically, but you can trigger powerful special abilities manually, which adds a layer of activity to your gameplay. On top of that, there's also an equipment system, skill upgrade trees, and talent trees you can interact with outside of combat. The story setup is actually pretty fleshed out for a Survivor-like. There's lore about the Wild Keepers being forgotten after an ancient war, and now they're the only ones who can save the world from these new monster attacks. It's more narrative heavy than most games in the genre. Now I will say, and this is important, the game has some optimization issues. On Steam Deck especially, it's a bit rough. The graphic settings are weird, and even on the highest settings, things look blurrier than they should. Performance is okay, but it needs work. That said, the creature collection hook is strong. If you're the type who catches them all in Pokemon, you'll probably get sucked into collecting all the Guardians. The runs have good variety with different maps and modes to explore. Alright, number 7, Machik 2. This game is absolutely bonkers. It came out in September 2025. Machik 2 is a Brazilian-developed Survivor-like that embraces chaos. It's got a full story mode about an apocalyptic war between chickens and frogs. Yes, you heard that right. Complete with hand-drawn cutscenes and tons of references and Easter eggs. There are hundreds of thousands of possible wand and power combinations that you can build. Themed loadouts that generate completely unexpected results, The replay value is through the roof because every run can be wildly different. It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, currently sitting at 95% positive, and the demo alone has enough content to feel like a full game, which is wild. At $7, it's an absolute steal. The only reason it's not higher is that many unlocks are found much later in the game, to the point where some mechanics are not introduced until you're almost done with the story mode. But if you want a survivor-like that's unapologetically chaotic and doesn't take itself seriously, Machik 2 delivers. Coming in at number 6, we have Tower of Babel Survivors of Chaos. I've actually covered this one on the channel before, and yeah, it gave me some trouble early on. Not gonna lie, I died a lot while learning the systems. Tower of Babel is still in early access, but what's already there is really solid. The premise is straightforward. You're climbing a mysterious tower, fighting through floors filled with monsters, trying to reach the top, where a legend says you can obtain anything you desire. What sets this apart is the gear management system. You actually pick up gear, store items in your inventory, and you can theory craft builds. It's not just passive upgrades from level ups, you're actively managing your loadout as you go. The item pickup mechanics are smooth, and there's full controller support, which is nice. Currently, there are 4 playable classes: Warrior, Wizard, Demon Hunter, and Brawler, and 16 floors to fight through. The game runs well performance-wise, and the progression feels good. My main complaint is that the overlap in skills between classes makes it feel a bit limited right now, but since it's early access, I'm expecting more to be added. The developers seem responsive to feedback, which is always a good sign. If you like survivor-likes with inventory management and more traditional roguelike structure, Tower of Babel is worth your time. At number 5, we've got Fungi's Swarm. Yes, this is on a different top 10 list I've made, but I keep coming back to this game and it keeps delivering. This affordable little game launched in early access in August 2025 and is currently sitting at overwhelmingly positive 96% rating with over 640 reviews. That's impressive for such a new release. The premise? You're a fungi, and the forest is on fire because of the Fire King's army. You're fighting off flaming minions, mutated vegetables, and all sorts of things that probably shouldn't be on fire. The art style is cartoony and bright, which is a nice change from the darker aesthetic of most survivor-likes. Don't let that fool you though. This game can get brutal. The devs have added options to turn off auto-fire and auto-aim if you want to play it more like a traditional twin-stick shooter, but I'd recommend keeping auto-fire on and just focusing on dodging. You unlock different fungis as you play, each with unique abilities. There's meta progression through upgrading Forest Sanctuary. You rescue creatures during runs to permanently improve your base. The currency system has multiple types: water droplets for character upgrades, shards for weapon improvements, plus a skill tree for powerful permanent abilities like free revives. The game's already had multiple major updates since launch. They've added new arenas like Frozen Pond and the Egloceum, which, yes, is surrounded by chickens who watch you fight. New characters like Ursa and Nutcase keep the roster fresh. The developers are super active on the Discord taking feedback. At $7, recently increased from $5, it's still a fantastic value. If you're a fan of Vampire Survivors and want something cute but challenging, Fungi's Swarm is an easy recommendation. Number 4 is Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell. This one's been on a journey. It started in early access and hit full 1.0 release in September 2025. It's now also on PS5 and Xbox Series X, which shows the developers are serious about supporting it long term. Jotun Slayer is set in Norse mythology, and unlike most survivor-likes with pixel art or simple graphics, it has legitimately good 3D visuals. We're talking Diablo quality aesthetics here. You're fighting through waves of mythical enemies, earning blessings from Norse gods, facing off against bosses, all while the screen fills up with particle effects and chaos. The class system is excellent. You've got Vikings, Rangers, Dwarves, Banished Valkyries, and more. Each class has unique skills and even subclasses that unlock mid-run, completely changing your playstyle. The Revenant is my favorite. Range attacks, explosive skulls, guided arrows, spectral wolves, super satisfying to play. The game is very positive on Steam with 85% positive out of over 2,300 reviews. That's solid, though some players note that it doesn't quite have the same satisfying numbers go up feeling as many games like Soulstone Survivors or Halls of Torment. The builds can feel less overpowered compared to other survivor-likes, but what it lacks in pure power fantasy, it makes up with the presentation. The Norse mythology setting is well executed and the graphics are top tier for the genre, and there's genuine content depth. They've added multiple realms like Svartalfheim with new enemies and gods. The roadmap promises Helheim, more classes, and endless mode. If you want a survivor-like that looks and feels premium, Jotun Slayer delivers. Just know it's a bit more grounded in terms of how broken you can get. Alright, before we get to the top 3, I want to give honorable mention to 3 games that technically broke my under 1 million sales rule, but are too good not to talk about. Number 1 is Soulstone Survivors. This game left early access in June 2025 and has sold over 1 million copies, so it doesn't qualify for the main list, but man, if it did, it would probably be in my top 3. Soulstone Survivors is what a lot of people consider the gold standard for survivor-likes now. It's got an overwhelmingly positive rating at 97% positive in the last 30 days with over 11,000 total reviews. The game has 350 plus skills, over 100 craftable weapons, and 22 playable characters, and the build variety is just insane. You can discover game-breaking synergies synergies that make you feel like an actual god. What sets it apart is its depth. There's a massive persistent skill tree, weapon crafting, rune system, multiple game modes including Titan Hunt. The 1.0 release even added significant lore and story content, which is rare for the genre. If you haven't played it yet and you're a fan of survivor likes, this is basically required playing at this point. I will say, if you don't like chaotic survivor likes, you may want to steer clear from this entry. Honorable mention number 2, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. This one crossed the million sales mark within a month of its early access launch in February 2024, and it hit 1.0 in September 2025. PC Gamer literally said Vampire Survivors is no longer the king of the genre when reviewing this. The hook here is that it's a survivor-like with mining. You're a lone dwarf and you have to mine through procedurally generated caves while fighting off alien bugs. The terrain destruction adds a tactical element. You can literally dig your way out of danger or create choke points. There are 4 dwarf classes, each with 10 weapons, plus overclocks that drastically modify how weapons perform. The meta progression is deep, the biomes are varied, and it's got that Deep Rock Galactic charms that fans of the original game love. It's Steam Deck verified, and it is even released on mobile. At 87% very positive with over 21,000 reviews, this is another must play if you're into the genre. And honorable mention number 3, Nimrod's Guncraft Survivor. This one's still in early access as of October 2024, and while I don't have exact sales numbers, it's building a solid following. What makes Nimrod's unique is its weapon crafting system, and I mean actual crafting, not just picking upgrades. You collect weapon parts from airdrops and assemble completely custom guns. But here's the twist. The guns you craft in previous runs don't just disappear. You can deploy them on drones to assist you in future runs. Your past builds become your backup. It's a really clever take on meta progression. The game's got very positive reviews at 84% positive, and it's Steam Deck verified. Fair warning though, some players report performance issues when the screen gets too chaotic, which will happen often. But the core loop of crafting absurd weapon combinations and exploring alien biomes is super satisfying. The map itself is persistent, so that is another thing that sets it apart in this genre. If you're into theory crafting and want a survivor-like where weapon customization is the main feature, Nimrod's is worth checking out. Alright, the bronze medal goes to Conquest Dark. This game launched in early access in April 2025. It's a solo dev passion project from a Finnish developer with 20 plus years of game dev experience. His goal was to bring dark sword and sorcery vibes to the survivor-like genre, and honestly, he nailed it. Conquest Dark is inspired by Robert E. Howard and Michael Moorcock, old school fantasy with a grim, brutal edge. The setting is 237 years after the Black Planet appeared, undead armies destroyed civilization, and the cosmic gods fell. Now you're performing dark rituals to fight back against the forces that nearly ended humanity. What makes this special is how it blends ARPG elements with survivor-like mechanics. You get that Diablo-style loot chase, picking up gear, making decisions on the fly, tweaking your build mid-run, but it's structured like a survivor game with waves of enemies, boss fights at set intervals, and runs that last around 15 minutes, or much longer, depending. The class system offers real variety. Barbarians of the Lion, Oathkeepers, Alkalites of Ku, each faction has its distinct powers and playstyles. The meta progression is excellent, with unlocks that actually feel meaningful. The game's currently at 90% very positive on Steam with 1,600 reviews. One reviewer called it the best new auto shooter since Vampire Survivors, and I don't think that's hyperbole. The combat is visceral, the builds can get absolutely wild, and the presentation is fantastic. The isometric 3D graphics look great, and the dark fantasy atmosphere is thick. My only real complaint is that it's still early access, so there's content yet to come. But what's there is polished and addictive. At $15, it's on the pricier side for an early access survivor-like, but I think it's worth it if you're into ARPGs and dark fantasy. The silver medal goes to Deadly Days Road Trip. This game just launched in early access in September 2025. On a side note, I completely forgot that it's in early access until writing the script for this video, and I think that says a lot about the game. And it's already sitting at overwhelmingly positive with 95% positive out of 1,100 reviews. That's insane for such a new game. The concept is brilliant. Zombie apocalypse survivor-like meets inventory management. You're on a road trip through the zombie-infested wasteland in a school bus, stopping at different locations to loot, shoot, and gather fuel to make it to the next area. Each stop is a survivor-like run. But then, you've got this Resident Evil 4 style inventory management where you're fitting loot into your backpack like a puzzle. The genius is the adjacency bonuses. Items placed next to each other in your backpack can give you synergy effects, powering up your weapons. So it's not just about grabbing the best loot, it's about arranging it perfectly to maximize your build. It's like if Vampire Survivors had a baby with Tetris. Pixel art is gorgeous, the zombie variety is solid, and the progression hooks are strong. There are multiple playable characters to unlock, dozens of items to combine, different biomes to explore, and boss bosses to beat. The character unlocks are interesting too, not just beat 3 runs and you get this guy. The devs are super active. They've already pushed multiple updates since launch in September, including a Halloween update with new characters and events. They're listening to community feedback on their Discord, which is always a good sign. At $13, currently on sale for around $8, it's an absolute steal. If you like Survivor likes and you've enjoyed inventory Tetris games like Backpack Battles, this is a must play. And finally, at number 1, we have Rogue Janisha. This game hit 1.0 in March 2025 after being in early access since September 2022, and it absolutely deserves the top spot on this list. Rogue Janisha has an overwhelmingly positive rating with 93% positive out of over 11,500 reviews. It's been called one of the most beloved games in the Vampire Survivors-like genre on Steam, and after playing it extensively, I completely understand why. What sets Rogue Janisha apart is that it's not just one game. It's kind of two. There's the roguelike mode, which plays like Slay the Spire or any other typical node-based map progression roguelite, where you pick through maps with shops, challenges, boss fights, and rest stops. Then there's the survivor mode, which is more traditional single map, endless survival. Both modes are excellent and they offer completely different experiences. The progression is absurd. You've got over 200 passive upgrades, 60 plus weapons, and a similar number of artifacts to equip. The meta progression tree is massive. You're constantly unlocking new things, and the power scaling is off the charts. One reviewer says it has an almost obscene level of meta progression, and that's accurate. The 1.0 update added A rank difficulty, which is significantly harder than B rank and requires you to complete 20 challenges to access. There's a loop feature where you can restart from the beginning after completing a run and face stronger enemies for higher XP rewards. There's a void dimension zone where corrupted enemies that act as rare elite variants, and just a ton of other endgame content. The art style is unique. It's got this 2.5D pixel aesthetic that's been compared to Octopath Traveler. At $10 on sale, normally $15, this is one of the best values in gaming right now. The amount of content is staggering. You could easily sink 100 plus hours into this and still have things to unlock. If you buy only one game from this list, make it Rogue Janisha. Alright, so that's my top 10 Survivor-like games of 2025. To recap, remember, this is my personal list based on what I played this year. If your favorite is missing, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what I might have missed. And if you want to see full Let's Plays of any of these games and I don't already have them on the channel, let me know in the comments and I'll prioritize getting those up. I've already covered a few of these games, and links to the videos will be in the description. Anyways guys, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.